Hello, I welcome you to today's lesson. My name is Paul Williams of Virginia. We have science today, science for basic 3. So if you're in basic 3, today's lesson is for you. I want to know your name, so go to the comment section and write your name, the name of your school, and then the name of your town. Okay, so what do you have today? Today we are looking at solid liquid mixture. Solid liquid mixture. That is what today we are going to look at. Solid liquid mixture. Okay, so in today's lesson, there are some keywords that we need to know how they are pronounced and the meaning. We have mixture. Mixture. So when you talk of mixture, what comes into your mind? In the house, you prepare food. You don't use only one ingredient. You go and buy this, you buy this, you buy this, put them together. And then what? You stir in order to mix it, to get the ingredients well mixed. So we call that mixture. So when you have two or more substances and you put them together, that can be described as what? Mixture. Okay. The next word is combination. Combination. To combine. You have different parts, you join them, you put them together. To combine means joining different parts. Joining different parts. Okay. The next word is different. 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 So different means they are not the same. They are not what? The same. This is different from this. Meaning the two are not the same. So different means they are not the same. The next word is dissolve. Dissolve. To dissolve something. To be absorbed by something. So in this lesson, the word dissolve, let me tell you, we are going to do practicals as well. But if you mix water and salt, you see that after some time, you will not see the salt in the water again. We say the salt has been dissolved. So to dissolve means to cause something to disappear. Okay. The next word is substance. 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 So when you talk of substance, it could be any object that have what? Physical properties. That has what? Properties. So substance, this could be a substance because it has properties. So any kind of matter with what? Properties can be described as substance. Okay. So if you look on the board, you can see pictures here. What do you see here? I can see a bowl, a spoon, then I can see food inside. I think this food is Gary soakings. What do you also think? What do you see? Because I can see granules here, and looking at the color of the water or the liquid, this is mixed with milk or milk powder, and then I can see Gary. So this is Gary soakings. The same thing is here, but here this one is more visible than the other one. So if you look at this, you've seen that this food is made of different ingredients. It's made of what? Different ingredients. So we call this what? We call this what? Mixture. combination of two or more substances. So we have garri, we have granules. By all means, you have to put what? Sugar. You have to also add milk and other things to it, and then after that you stir in order to get it what? Mixed. So this is what? A mixture. This is a mixture. So today's lesson we are going to learn about mixture. So what is mixture? What is mixture? A mixture is a physical combination of two or more substances. How many substances? Is it only one? No. It should consist of two or more. Two or more. A mixture should be what? Made of two or more substances. So if you have garri here, you have garri here, and you put them together, that is not a mixture, because the substance that you have after putting them together is still garri, only garri. But if you have garri, sugar, you put them together, you stir it, that is a mixture, because the substances that you mixed is what? You mix garri and sugar, two different substances. If you have garri, sugar, water, granules, you put everything together, you mix it. It's a mixture because it is made of two or more. In this case, 4. Garri, sugar, granules, water, 4 substances you mix. That is a mixture. One substance cannot be or cannot form a mixture. Okay, so combination, that is physical combination of two or more substances, we call it what? Mixture. So to combine means to put together. To put together. Okay, now we have different types of mixtures, but our lesson, our focus is on one. We are going to look at solid liquid mixture. Solid liquid mixture. What is solid liquid mixture? You know what solid objects are, and you know what liquid objects are. So liquids are different and solids are also different. But in this case, we are going to use solid substances, liquid substances, to form a mixture. So if I have water, water is liquid. If I have garri, garri is what? Solid. And I put them together, I have solid liquid mixture. So it is a mixture made of liquid and solid substances only. Solid liquid mixture, a mixture made of only what? Solid and liquid substances. Examples. We have sand and water. We know sand is what? Solid. Water is liquid. So solid liquid mixture. If you have salt and water, salt is solid, water is liquid. So it's an example of solid liquid mixture. We have sugar and water. Sugar is solid, water is liquid. So that is also another example of solid liquid mixture. The next one is powdered charcoal and water. Powdered charcoal is solid, water too is liquid. So it is solid liquid mixture. Then the last one that I have here is powdered chalk and water. You know chalk. So the powdered one is still solid. And then we have water, which is liquid. So these are examples of solid liquid mixture. I've explained to you that solid liquid mixture, that mixture contains two elements, or contain two components, or contain two constituents. That is solid and what? liquid. So any object in a solid form, if you mix it with any object in a liquid form, that mixture is called solid liquid mixture. Okay. Now let's come here. In every mixture, a lot of things happen. Sometimes you mix the components, you mix the constituents, and you realize that one will be dissolved, one too will not be able to be dissolved. For example, you have salts, you have water, you have sand, you have water. Mix the sand and the water, mix the salts and the water. Leave these two separate mixtures for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you see that the salt that you put or you mix with the water, you can only see what? The water. The salt, you will not see it. We see the salt has been dissolved. If you go to where the sand and the water is, you will still what? See the sand in the water. The water cannot what? Dissolve the sand. So a lot of things what happen when we are mixing, or when we mix ingredients, when we mix constituents, when we mix components. Okay, so now we are going to look at some terms, some names, some scientific words used to describe certain things in a mixture. The first one is solvent. I want to read it out. It is the liquid that dissolves solid substances. I'm taking it again. It is the liquid that dissolves solid substances. In salt solution, that is salt and water, water is a solvent. So you have water, you have salt, you have formed your mixture, that is salt solution. The salt later on will disappear. We say the water has dissolved the salt. So the water, in science, we call it solvent, because it is able to dissolve the solid particle or the solid component. So water is what? Solvent. Water is solvent. We are saying that solvent is the liquid that dissolves solid substance. So that mixture, salt and water, the salt is a solid, the water is liquid, and in this case the water, which is liquid, has dissolved the salt, which is what? Solid. So we say water is what? Solvent. Solvent. So all solvents are able to dissolve the other, and mostly they are liquid. So it is the liquid that dissolves solid substance. Dissolve means to cause it to disappear. Okay, now let's come to the next term, solutes. Solutes. What is the meaning of solutes? So in the mixture where the water and the salts, we call the water solvent. What name do we give to the salt? That later on we didn't see again after we mix it with water. That salt, or that part or solid component that has been dissolved, we call it what? Solute. So solute is a solid substance that can be dissolved. So any solid substance that can be dissolved is called what? Solute. So if you have sugar, you put sugar in water. Later on, you will come and see that the sugar is no more in the water. You can't see it with your eyes. It means it has been what? Dissolved by the water. So we call the sugar as solutes. If salt also dissolves in the water, we say the salt is what? Solute. So all solute substances or all solid components, they are solid that are able what? To be dissolved. They are solid that are able to be what? To be dissolved in a solution. Okay, now let's come here. The next one is insoluble substance. Insoluble substance. So I gave two examples, salt and water, and also sand and water. If you mix this sand and water, you will still see the sand in the water after 20 minutes, after 30 minutes, after 1 year, after 2 years. There is no way the water can dissolve the sand or cause the sand to disappear. So we call the sand as insoluble. Insoluble. So it is the solid substance that cannot be dissolved. So any solid substance that cannot be dissolved is called insoluble. We have the next word, suspension. Suspension. It is a mixture where the solid substance suspends or floats on top of the liquid. An example is a powdered charcoal and water mixture. So suspension too is a name or a term that is given to a mixture. In this mixture, the solid particles or the solid substance are not able to dissolve, but rather you see them on top of the liquid. Sometimes you see them in the middle. They don't rest. Unlike sand that will settle at the bottom, in this case, it is not like that. One, it will not be dissolved. Two, it will not also settle at the bottom. You see them mostly on top of the liquid. They are always suspended or stay afloat. Okay, now let's look at how to separate them. We will perform practicals, don't worry. So let's say you have formed a mixture. Your garri is there. Okay, let me say your sugar is there, or your salt is there, and mistakenly your brother has mixed the salt with water. Meanwhile, you are coming to use the salt to do something. You need your salt back, but the salt has been dissolved in water. What are you going to do? You need your salt in a solid form. By here, your sister or your brother has put the salt in the water and it has been dissolved by the water. What will you do to get the salt back? Is it possible that there is something that you can do to get the salt back? If it is not possible, I want to tell you that it is possible. You can get the salt back. So we are going to look at how to separate mixtures. How to separate what? Mixture. Separation of what? Mixture. So if you have a mixture and you want to separate it, you want to get the individual components being what? Separated. There is a way to do it, and that is what we are going to learn. Now, we need to know the methods that are used to separate mixtures. Now, the first one is what? Filtration method. So separation by filtration method. One method that we can use to separate mixture is what? Filtration method. Filtration. So how do we do this? Now let's look at something here. It's a method used to separate solids from liquids. In filtration, a filter paper or a white clean cloth is used. Filtration is used to separate solid substances that do not dissolve in liquid. These are examples: sand and water mixture, powdered charcoal and water mixture, iron filings and water mixture, powdered chalk and water mixture, palm nut and palm juice mixture. So if you look at these examples of mixtures, all of them, they are not able to dissolve in water. Water cannot dissolve them. So let's say you have sand, you have water, and you have formed mixture with these two substances. Later you want to get your sand back, but the sand is part of the water, it has mixed with the water. So what do? To get your sand separated, you have to perform filtration method or filtration. You have to use filtration method to get your sand back, to get your water also separated. Okay, now how does it look like? So this is how filtration method looks like. We will do practicals. I'll perform the practicals with you, don't worry, but I want to take you through so that you have understanding of how the whole thing is done. Now, so this is how filtration method looks like. You have this here, this is your mixture, that is the water and the sand. We have this here, which is what? Funnel. This is funnel, the one we call, our people call funnel. It is not funnel, it is funnel. And then we have something inside the funnel called filter. Then you have your container here. Okay, so here you pour the mixture into the funnel. But in the funnel, we have something called filter inside. A filter is any material that prevents solid substances from passing through, but rather allow liquid substances to pass through. But there is a paper called filter paper. That filter paper is specifically designed for this method of separation. But you know, it is not easy to get this, but there are other things that we can use to improvise. We can use white clean cloth as a filter. So what you do is that you put white clean cloth. If you don't have filter paper, you put it inside the funnel and then you pour the mixture. So the filter will prevent, or the white clean cloth or the filter paper will prevent the solid particles from passing through, but rather it will allow the liquid component to drain through it and then come to this side. So when you finish pouring everything, you see that all the solid parts will be on top of the filter paper. The liquid component will also drain through and then come and settle here. So this is how it is done. When you finish everything, you get your water 1 point and all the solid particles to 1 point. So here in science, the solid particles that couldn't pass through the filter. If I say filter, I'm talking about either filter paper or white clean cloth. That solid particles on top of the filter, we call it residue. In science, we call it what? Residue. So if you hear about residue, we are talking about solid particles that were not able to pass through a filter. The liquid component that also passed through the filter, we call it what? This side, we call it what? Filtrate. So filtrate is what? The liquid components that were able to pass through the filter. That is called what? Filtrate. So here you have your water, you have your sand here. So in this case, the residue is the sand is the residue, and then the water is what? Filtrate. Now we have only water here, we have only what? Sand here. But at first, the two of them were mixed here. They were together in this container. But after doing this, you can see that we have separated the water from the sun. So this is how we separate solid substances from liquid substances. We call this method filtration. Okay. The same design or the same diagram is here. So the residue, you can see filter paper. So this is a filter paper. You have your funnel, and then this is your flask. We have beaker, contains what? Mixture. So this is where the mixture is, inside this. So you pour it. When it comes here, it will be on top of what? The filter paper. So the filter paper will stop the solid particles from what? Going into this container or this flask. They will be retained on it. And then the water will what? Pass through, flow through, and then come to this side. The water that we create here is what we call the filtrate. The liquid that will remain on top of the paper is what we call residue. So let's say this mixture, let's assume that is a mixture of water and stones. You get your stones here, and you get your water here. Here is a mixture of water and sand. You get your sand here, your water will come here. So this is how filtration method looks like. Now let's come to another method. We call this method evaporation. Separation by evaporation. Separation by what? Evaporation. What is evaporation? If today is the first time that you are hearing the word evaporation, then listen to me. Evaporation happens when you apply heat to water. Let's say you want to boil water in the morning. You first get your fire. You put your water in there or on the fire. You allow it. After some time, you see that the water is what? Boiling. And you see something like different kind of air going into or rising into the atmosphere. The heat from the fire will cause the water to burn. To boil. So as the water boils, you see that part of it will turn into vapor. It will turn into what? Vapor. So all the water in the container, in the cooking utensil, if you leave it on the fire and you increase the fire, later you see that all the water will disappear. They will turn into vapor. They will turn into what? Water vapor, and what? Go into the atmosphere. So the turning of water into water vapor is what we call evaporation. So you have seen that without heat, there is no way evaporation can take place, because it is only heat that can cause the water to change from liquid to gas. Water vapor is what? Gas. It's like air. Water vapor is like air, so it is gas. But water is not gas. Water is what? Liquid. So if you apply heat to the water, it will turn into what? Into vapor. And that process is called what? Evaporation. That is called what? Evaporation. That process or evaporation is a way of separating solid substance from liquid substance. So we are going to look at it. Now let me read this. Evaporation is used to separate a dissolved solid from a solid liquid mixture. Evaporation helps to separate salt from water in salt solution. It also helps to separate sugar from water in sugar solution. Evaporation is used to separate salt solution, that is salt and water, sugar solution, that is sugar and water. Let me tell you this. If you mix water with salt, we call it salt solution. If you mix sugar with salt, we call it if you mix sugar with water, we call it what? Sugar solution. But if you mix sand and water, we don't call it sand solution. No, it is sand and water mixture. Okay, so here you have your salt solution, that is salt and water. Now the salt has been dissolved in the water, but you need your salt back. What do? You use this method called evaporation. So with the evaporation method, you just put the solution on fire. The liquid component, which is the water, will what? Evaporate, will turn into vapor. But the salt cannot turn into vapor. So you see that the solution will be on fire. After some time, all the liquid will turn into what? Water vapor and go into the atmosphere or the air, leaving behind the solid particles, which is the salt. So this is how it looks like. Now we have our dish here. We have something inside. What we have inside is the solution, that is salt solution, a mixture of salts and water. We have here, this is what? Source of heat. So source of heat, fire, source of heat. Okay, this is called tripod stand. Have you seen this? Tripod. Tri means tray. So tripod what? Stand. And what do we see here? This is called water vapor. Water vapor. So the solution is here. We have applied heat to it. So the water will start boiling. If it starts boiling, it will turn to what? Water vapor and leave. Go into the atmosphere. So gradually all the water constituents will turn into water vapor, and later you see the solid components at the bottom. And this process is called evaporation. So at the end of the day, you get your salt only in the dish, but the water, you will not see it again because it has turned into water vapor. There is a way to even get the water vapor back to water. There is a way to get it. You'll get there, don't worry. Okay, so another way to separate solid liquid mixture is what? Evaporation, and this is how it is done. I'll show you a video on this one. Now there is another way, another method. This method is called decantation method. That's separation by decantation. So what is it at all? This method of separation is simple, just simple. Let's say you have stones mixed with water. What do you do to separate them? Let's look at it. Decantation is used to separate insoluble substances from liquids. Examples of mixtures that can be separated by decantation method are stones and water mixture, soil and water mixture. If you look at this decantation method, the kind of mixtures that can be used for this is different from the evaporation method. As for evaporation method, the water dissolves the solid particle. But here, the water cannot dissolve or do not dissolve the solid particles. The solid particles are insoluble. It cannot be what? Dissolved. So if you have stone and water will be like that. There is no way the water can dissolve the stone. So if you need your water back, if you need your stones separated from the water, you use this method because stones are insoluble. The same applies to soil. Soil too is what? Insoluble. Okay, so what we need to know is this. This is how decantation method is. So what you do is that your mixture, your stones and your water, just leave it for some time. You see that all the solid particles will settle at the bottom of the container, and then you take a new container, you pour the water which is on top into the new container, leaving the solid particles or components in that container. So this is how it is done. We have a mixture. These are our stones. This is water. So you just leave it. You see that the stones have settled at the bottom here. So you gently pour into another, you pour the water into another container. Later you get all your water here, you get all your stones here, and that is what we call what? Decantation. Decantation. Listen to me. If this is a salt solution, there is no way you pour the water to this side and get the salt down here, because in salt solution you don't even see the salt, because water dissolves the salt, so they form a solution. But in this case, because the solid particles are insoluble, you can still see them. So if you are pouring, you will know that only water is going, and then the one that are in are the solid particles. So this is decantation method for you. We are coming to the end of the lesson, but before that, I promise you that we will perform an experiment. Let's go and look at the experiment. We are looking at 3 ways or methods that we can use to separate mixture. The first one, we talk of filtration. So we perform an experiment for filtration. The next one, evaporation. Because of source of heat, I'll show you video. And then the third one, decantation, we'll perform. So we are going to perform two experiments. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the practical section. We have learned about mixture. We have learned about how to separate mixture. So we are going to perform the practicals here. So I want to let you know what I have. I have this. This is a container. This is funnel. This is bottle of water. I have sand in this container. Let me open it for you. This is sand. This is sand. I have this here. This is spoon. And this is container. You can call it beaker. And then I have this here. This is white cloth. White cloth. This white cloth is serving as a filter. I don't have filter paper here, so I'm using this as a white cloth. I'm using this white cloth as a filter. So this is white cloth serving as a filter. Okay, so you can use filter paper. You can also use white cloth to perform this experiment. This, I said, is container. You can call it beaker. This, I have sand in it. I have water here. This is a funnel. This is another empty container. And this is spoon. What method do you think we are going to use? Yeah, I have filter here. I have funnel here. What do you think? We are going to perform filtration method. Filtration method. So filtration method is used to separate mixture in which the solid particles are insoluble. So if you have a mixture where the solid particles cannot be dissolved by water, and you want to get the solid particles separated from the water or from the liquid, what you do is to perform a filtration method. So one, we need to form the mixture and see whether the solid particles will be dissolved by water or will not be able to dissolve by water. Now, this mixture is solid liquid mixture. So my solid is here, which is what? The sand. So this empty bottle will be here, or container will be here. I'll fetch sand into it. So I have sand. The sand is what? Solid. So I have sand here. I'm going to add a liquid. Here I have water as liquid. Okay. So now I have water and sand in this. I have to mix it. I have to mix it. Now let me leave it for some time and see if the sand will still be in it or it will be dissolved. Let me check. The sand is still in the water. So it means that water cannot dissolve sand. So we say the sand is insoluble. Insoluble. Okay, so insoluble substances are substances that cannot be dissolved by water. Okay, now this is a mixture. I don't want the mixture again. I want my water back. I want my sand back. What should I do to get my water and my sand separated so that I'll take my water away, and I'll also use my sand to do different things? I need to separate it. So we are going to use a method called filtration. In filtration, you need your container or your beaker, you need your funnel, you need your filter. Now, you just put the funnel here, you place your filter, you put the filter inside the funnel. Then your mixture is here. Let me mix it well. So after mixing, you pour it on the filter. You pour everything on the filter. I'm doing it gradually. Okay. Now I have emptied it. So I have the mixture here. Let me see, leave it for some time and see what will happen. Oh, okay. There is something on top of this. Only what? Sand. Now I have only sand on top of the filter. Let me check here. I have something here. Oh, okay. That is water. Now I have separated the sand from the water. I use the filter. I said the filter could be a white cloth or a filter paper. What I have on top is the sand. What term do we give to the sand? The part that was not able to dissolve, the part that was not also able to pass through the filter. What name do we give to that part or that component? It is called residue. So here, the sand is the residue, and I have my sand here. I can take it back. This is a funnel. I will move it. Now, the liquid components that pass through the filter. Here we have the water. What term do we give to this? What scientific word or term do we give to the water? In filtration, what scientific word do we give to the water? The water is called filtrate. So filtrate is a liquid component that passes through the filter. And then the residue is the insoluble components that were not able to pass through the filter. So now we formed the mixture, we have separated it. So this is how filtration method is done. It is used to separate solid liquid mixture. In the case where the solid is insoluble, this is what we use to separate them. If you have questions, you can ask. Go to the comment section and ask. Okay, thank you. We are going to perform another one. So this is the end of our filtration method. Thank you. Welcome to another section. We are going to perform experiment. We are going to look at how we can separate mixture. We have learned about solid liquid mixture. We have also learned about how to separate them. We are going to do the practicals. So this method is called decantation. Decantation method is used to separate insoluble substance from liquid. So first, before you separate a mixture, you need to form the mixture. So let's go and form our mixture. Yes, so we have this. This is a bottle of water. I have here stones. I'm going to form the mixture. So the mixture that I'm going to form is solid liquid mixture because stones are solid, water is liquid. So if I put them together, if I mix them, that is called solid liquid mixture. Solid liquid mixture. That is when I have mixed the solid and the liquid. Now here, the stones are solid. I'll pour the stones here. And then the liquid is also here, which is water. I'll pour water here. So this is a mixture. I have formed the mixture. Why is this a mixture? It is a mixture because I have mixed two different substances. So a mixture is a combination of two or more. It can be two, it can be more than two. So it's a mixture, is a combination of two or more substances. So here, the substance that I have stones and I have water. Okay, you see that the water cannot dissolve the stones. The water cannot dissolve the stones. So the stones are insoluble. Insoluble. Okay. In filtration method, we use two different containers. So like this and this. I'm going to pour this into this. To get the water, I need another container, another beaker that I can pour into. So it is important to get another one apart from the first one that you have your mixture in it. We use decantation method for a mixture that the solid particles cannot be dissolved. So let's say if this, or let's say I have salts and water mixture, that is salt solution. I can't use decantation method to separate the salt from the water because salts can be dissolved by water. And if water dissolves salts, you can't even see the salt. So if you are pouring what? Both the salt and the water. You are pouring the solution. You wouldn't see the salts. So everything will be poured into the other container. So we don't use decantation method to separate solutions. I mean solid particles or solid components that have been dissolved in water. We use decantation method to separate a mixture where the solid particles are insoluble. An example is water and sand, stones, water and sand, water and iron filings. Just mention other insoluble substances. Now, after you have mixed, you will leave it for some time to ensure that all the solid particles are settled at the bottom. And then you gently raise it. You gradually and gently pour the water into another container like this. So what I'm doing is decantation. Now I have all the water poured into another container. So now I have separated the stones from the water. So the water is here, the stones are also here. So this is how decantation method is performed. This is how decantation method is performed. You can use decantation method to separate salt and water or salt solution. You can use decantation method to separate sugar solution. Okay, but you can use decantation method to separate stones and water mixture. So this is how decantation method is done. Thank you. I welcome you to another section. We have done practicals. We have done filtration method. We have also performed decantation method. The next method that we are going to see is called evaporation. It's called evaporation. So let's watch how it is performed. So we have our salt here. Let's see. So what you do is you get your spoon, you fetch salt, you add it to this. This is water. This is water. So that is what is happening. You pour it. Very good. After that, you stir to make sure the salt disappears. The water dissolves it completely. So what you get here is salt solution. Salt solution. So this stirring will ensure that all the salts will get disappeared or dissolved. Now this is your solution. There is no salt in it. You can't see the salt again. It has been dissolved by the water. Now we are going to take our water separated, or we are going to get our salt separated from this. And this is what you need. Now let me pause and show it to you. This is the solution, the salt solution. We have salt and water in this. We can't see the salt again, but we need the salt. What do? We are going to put it on this. The water components will turn into vapor because of what? The heat. So without heat, evaporation cannot take place. Let's see how. So it's done. So you put your solution on it. Have you seen the fire? Now, because of the fire, the water is boiling, it's turning into vapor. You see vapor coming. The water level too is reducing. You can notice that the water level is reducing because of this. All are turning into what? Vapor. Now what do you see here? We have our salt here. We have our crystals here, salt crystals. So now, here, the water component has been turned into water vapor, leaving behind the salts. So this is the best way, or this is the method used to separate what? This type of what? Mixture. Solid liquid mixture, where the solid is soluble, meaning can be dissolved by water. So if you have solid substance being dissolved by water, and later you want to get your solid back, you perform evaporation. The evaporation method, that is when the water components will turn into water vapor. So here, the water that we had here, because of the heat that they have what, or it has turned into what? Changed into water vapor. So we can't see the water in it again. Now we have our salts. We can take our salt back. And there is a method to get the vapor that was moving into the air, to get it back in the form of water. We will get to that point. But at this point, I want you to know that this is how evaporation method is done. This is how evaporation method is done. Without heat, there is no way evaporation can take place, because heat will cause the water to change, or will change the water from liquid state to gas. So when it is changed from liquid state to gas, it will leave the solid particles like what you have here. Now we have separated the water from the salts. So this is all about evaporation. Thank you. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed all the practicals. Yes, we have learned about mixes. We have seen how mixes are formed, how mixes are separated. We have seen how to separate salts and water. We have seen how to separate sand and water. We have seen how to separate stones and water. The three methods that we have learned or we have seen, they are filtration, decantation, and evaporation. So these are some of the methods that are used to separate mixture. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the experiments, the video, and other things. Okay, if you have questions, feel free. But before you ask your question, I have some questions for you. So let's look at the exercises. We have exercise 1, 5 questions. Exercise 2. Exercise 2 is in the form of riddles. So, exercise 3 is here. Exercise 4. Exercise 5. And then we have home assignments here. We have home assignment. So this is what you are doing for me. And the questions are easy and simple. I believe you have understood everything, so you'll be able to answer all the questions. Okay, we are bringing our lesson to a close. Remember to get a copy, read the book, answer all the questions. If there is something that you don't understand, your teachers, your parents, they are there, they will help you. You can also reach out to me. I'll also assist you. Tell your friends, tell the people that you know that Kokomoti series, we are teaching you the things that your teachers are also teaching you. So anytime you are free, go to your parents, ask permission, they'll give their phones to you, or they'll help you get these videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. These are the 3 platforms that our videos are uploaded. So you can go there to watch us. Apart from science, we have Asante Tree, we have Akuapem Tree. All these books are there. If you need copies, reach out to us. We'll make sure you get copies. Thanks for your time. Thanks for everything. My name is Paul Williams Ofori. Bye-bye.